All right, so UFC 280. Obviously, Islam Makhachev is the champion in lightweight, but we saw a very controversial fight, and I wouldn't say the birth of a star because the person who was speaking about Sean O'Malley was already a star going into this fight. It's just that people will give him more credibility now that he has actually fought someone of credibility. But my issue, or not really an issue, my thing is who actually won the fight between Petr Yan and Sean O'Malley. I tell you why I thought. Watching that fight, going to the third round, in my head I was like, damn, Sean O'Malley has to finish this fight, but I don't see a way he can finish Yan. And then Petr Yan. And then he caught Yan with a knee coming in, bust him up, got some like accurate strikes in there. And then Yan got a bit of some control time also in that third round. And then in my head I was like, I think we can give the third round to Sean O'Malley because obviously he has put on a fight. Everybody expected him to be out of there in no time. And then the ref was like 29-28, Petr Yan, 29-28, Sean O'Malley. I was like, what? So Sean lost by split decision. Even better for his credibility, right? And then I like, and then 29-28 for the winner by split decision. Sean O'Malley. I was like, what? I was like this the whole time. Bro. But I tell you, before I tell you what I think about that fight, I want you to go back to tell me how you thought about the fight before the announcement was made.
So I thought Yan won. I thought round one, Yan won. Round two, he won for sure. Right? And round three was a very, very close round, but I still give it to Yan. But each of those rounds, it wasn't like it was a complete blowout, right? It wasn't a complete blowout. It was competitive, but I still gave Yan things. I gave it Yan 30-27. When they started saying split decision, I was like, which kind of split decision is this? Now, one thing I've noticed whenever they do split decision is the person who they name first. 29-28, yeah, tends to be the winner, right? Because the person
Exactly.
who is in the middle. So I was like, oh, yeah, they ended up winning now.
Hmm.
But split decision is kind of questionable. But I left it at that. I had 29-28, yeah, 29-28, Omalley. So I'm expecting to hear yeah at the end. And then I say, Sugar, Sean, even Omalley said, you can tell. When they asked him, or DC asked him, did you think you won the fight? He was like, he didn't know it was close. So it's, I'll tell you this, right? Petr Yan, knowing how good he is, shouldn't have made it that close because each of the rounds were close, right? I respect Sean O'Malley for coming and actually giving him a fight. Sean O'Malley hurt this dude, made him bleed and everything. But it was up to Petr Yan to prove that, hey, this guy does not belong in this octagon fighting me. And he didn't do that. So he stood the risk of losing. I thought he won, but I mean, what would my crying about it change? O'Malley ended up winning, but Petr Yan could have done more, right?
Yeah, it was a bit awkward for me. So I tell you what, I saw something by Luke Thomas. Luke Thomas, respected MMA journalist, right? He was
Mhm.
mentioning that there is a new criteria in the judging system when it comes to grappling and control. So basically, when you have grappling control without doing any significant damage or any significant threat in finishing the fight in grappling, that the judges would not favor you that much, right? It's
Mhm.
because they look at it like you are just holding to survive, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand how they would see that as Yan struggling to survive, right? But anyways, when Luke Thomas made that statement, he always also mentioned don't hate the judges. The judges are actually credible. It's just that the criteria that they were supposed to be judge with does not favor a fighter that fights in that style. You cannot take
Mhm.
down. I believe that criteria was put in place for fighters that would take down and just lay and prey on top of their opponent, right? So
Mhm.
when the argument is made, you can go back to the first round and be like, well, if that's the case, then the first round, Sean O'Malley has won the first round, right?
Mhm.
And Sean
Mhm.
O'Malley probably has won the third round if that argument is actually made. But regardless,
Mhm.
eye test does not lie. We saw
Mhm.
we saw O'Malley lose that fight. But anyways, this is a very controversial one. It would forever stay controversial. The only way that O'Malley would clear his name from the eyes or from the mouths of MMA fans is if he goes out there and probably wins the title, or if he actually goes out there in a second fight with Petr Yan and actually win decisively, just like Aljo did.
Do you think they'll do a rematch?
Probably when one of them has a title, but without a title, I don't think it's worth it.
It's immediately. Okay.
Yeah.
So who do you think? Okay. Who do you think O'Malley fights next?
Well, who is the person that wanted to fight for the title that was a clear cut person to fight for the title? Um, That from
Chito?
TJ. I think he's
Chito
the clear.
Vera?
Oh yeah, bro, Cheeto, yo. Do they have to do it?
That's a rematch
Yeah,
too.
do they have to do an eliminator before the title fight? Because to be honest, the UFC, would prefer to do Aljo and Sean because that's the money fight.
Mm-hmm. But there's also Cejudo roaming around
Oh
that area.
yeah, oh yeah, and Cejudo has already thrown his hat in the
Mm-hmm.
his name in the hat. Um, Honestly, some people might not want to hear this, but dude, I'm done with Cejudo, man. I'm done with Henry Cejudo. He should just stay retired, bro. I'm done with him. Honestly,
Ah,
I would want to see Sean O'Malley versus Aljo, and I think Aljo might end
you
up
would or
winning.
you wouldn't?
I would want to see it. I would want to see it. I would be interest. It would be interesting. That would be the most fun build up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because for the
Mm-hmm.
first time in a long time, both fighters actually speak English very well and they can trash talk. So,
Mm-hmm.
so, so that title picture has been a bit lame when it comes to promoting fights for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Aljo like being super cringe in the name of selling a fight when he was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
fight the second fight against Peter Yan. We saw him being so
Mm-hmm.
cringe, and it wasn't too fun to be honest, in my opinion. But you folks watching this might beg to differ. Anyways, you
Mm-hmm.
guys tell us what you think about this in the comment section below.
Come on, Africans!